Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. Today's book we're going to look at is called Charles, and it is about a crow. The author is S.E. Hume, who is actually an author from British Columbia. Crows are a very common bird in our neighborhood and near our school. They're actually very attractive birds. Sometimes we think of them sort of as a nuisance because they make such loud caws. But here's a very attractive picture of a crow. Crows are very common, as I mentioned, and the most common feather I find in our forest is a crow feather, and I've even brought them to school. Crows in the springtime create nests. They can lay up to actually 9 eggs. Not all maybe survive, but they lay up to 9 eggs. And here is a picture of some baby crows waiting for their mother and their father to feed them before they fly off and be on their own. So the story Charles, the author again is S.E. Hume, and Charles has been published by Fitzhenry and Whiteside. That's who made the book. So Charles, there's a beautiful picture of the crow Charles. This is a drawing of Charles, my crow. He used to live in my house. I will never forget the first time I saw him. He was sitting on a pile of leaves, almost bald, looking around at the big new world. I came back that evening and he was still there. He needed help. He was making a funny noise. It sounded like Charles. Charles, Charles, Charles. Crows can make all sorts of different noises. I picked up Charles and brought him home. I put him in a shoebox lined with old newspapers and comic books that I didn't read anymore. I fed Charles cooked cereal. I fed him scrambled eggs. I mashed up strawberries in cereal. He liked that. I hung a light bulb above the box to keep him warm. Charles walked before he learned how to fly. He followed me everywhere with small sideways steps. Charles grew. His feathers and his eyes were as black as the midnight. He liked to sit on my shoulder when I wrote and tapped my shiny fountain pen with his beak. It was hard to write like that. My sentences looked like this. You can see. We grew strawberries in our backyard. Sometimes my mother would send me to collect berries for dinner. After a while, Charles started flying from our house to the big pine tree at the edge of the woods. My mother and father said it would not be too long before he returned to his true home in the wild woods. As I'm reading the story, if you listen carefully, you can hear the crows cawing around in our neighborhood. One morning, Charles was gone. It was only a matter of time, my mother said. Yes, my father said, he probably missed the outdoors. That day, I stood outside and called him. There was no answer. Charles, 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 I cried. But one night, many nights later, I was in my room. I couldn't sleep. There was a full moon outside. Suddenly I heard taps on my window. A big black crow was sitting on the ledge with a strawberry in his beak. When I got up to see if it was Charles, the bird flew away. But he left the strawberry. It was the sweetest berry I ever tasted. And there are all the crows. I hope you enjoyed that story. And if you're out and about and you spot a crow, maybe take a picture and post it in our library channel. Thanks. Bye now.